No, I did wonder. And the other big thing, of course, because as we are heading into the summer, people, and particularly as lockdowns are getting lifted and people are able to see one another and to go places, it's the time where people start to plan, if not weeks away, then certainly day trips away. And of course, the Doctor Who world has been rocked by this, because not only is the Doctor Who in the newspapers for a change, there is Doctor Who back on the sides of buses.
Oh, I saw. Yes.
All right.
Everywhere turning up for Doctor Who Time Fracture. And so you've seen one of these buses out and about.
I have. Yeah, just actually a couple of hours ago, and I was out, and it drove past, and I went, "Oh, that horrible logo's on that bus." That's what I thought. But yeah, I mean, looks interesting wherever it is. I don't know what it is.
It's nice artwork. Well, I don't know if any of you have been to the Harry Potter immersive experience. I think they're aiming for something like this, are they, Sarah? You're a Harry Potter fan.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to say that Harry Potter is still relevant and Doctor Who isn't.
Well,
don't be sorry about that. Harry Potter's fabulous. Love Harry Potter.
Is it a ride? Is it a ride or something? What is it?
Well, I've got the information here, because it is. I mean, if you look at the let's get the artwork back on, because we've got it's Immersive Everywhere Presents. So this is under license from the BBC, and it says, I mean, they've got this boast. This press release was put out the other day. All of the Doctors will feature in one storyline for the first time ever, with pre-recorded cameos, voiceovers, and secret encounters in the immersive adventure Doctor Who Time Fracture, opening the 6th of May, 2021. And there's going to be a cast of 42 live actors across 14 different worlds from Doctor Who. So they're all joining in for the Time Fracture. Will you join them? You can pre-order tickets for the Time Fracture at a link, which I've put in the description, in the show notes of this video and podcast. And yeah, the idea is it's kind of an expansion of the escape rooms format and the secret cinema format. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the secret cinema events.
Yeah,
and
once.
So that you get, I've got a picture here somewhere. Yeah, so the idea is it brings the worlds of Doctor Who to life, and you can sort of walk around and interact and play games. And if you remember at the Doctor Who experience, did you ever go to the Doctor Who experience, Barnaby? I know, Sarah, you went loads, didn't you?
No, I never went. I only ever went to Longleat. That's the only sort of experience or exhibition I ever went to, was the Longleat one back in, I think, 1999. But no, I never went to the experience. No.
Because back at the experience, when you first sort of went in through the big doors, before you got out to the costumes and the props, there was the set of the TARDIS, and it was all sort of beaten up and shaken from side to side. Do you remember that, JT? Did you go
to where? Sorry, I was daydreaming for a second.
To the Doctor Who experience.
I went to the Doctor Who experience and the original Blackpool and the original Langholm and the original Longleat, and also the original one in London over at Earl's Court when they were testing the format out. I was there on the open day, but this doesn't interest me at all. Sorry, that's why I was daydreaming.
But do you remember when they had, when you went into the experience, they had Matt Smith on a big screen talking to you while you were trying to fly the TARDIS, and there was sort of little kids working levers. I think that this
little kids. I was there as well.
Yeah, I was. Like, get out of the way.
I was with my own kids, so I'd got other people's kids and my kids. I had no chance of getting anywhere near that. But the Doctor was sort of shouting instructions at you frantically from the screen, wasn't he? And I get the impression that this is an expansion of the same idea, really.
The big
sorry, go on, JT.
Sorry, I was going to say the big question is: does anyone care?
If this had been released about 3 years ago,
are they going to be pushing Jodie in front?
I would have absolutely loved it. Jodie's part of it, yeah.
Jodie and the other one, the other female one they introduced in the last 2 years or whatever it was. The other one, she's in it too.
What, the Council Estate Doctor as well?
I don't know which one it is, but whatever they call it, yeah.
Well, here's some of the production. Here's some of the production design. I mean, we are now looking at a brand. Doctor Who is now a brand which is suffering. I don't think anybody could argue that with merchandise barely selling, a very reduced public profile, and then there's the fact that we're just coming out of a pandemic. So on one hand, are people going to have the money? This is $49.99 per person to go around.
Is it? Nobody can afford that.
If you wanted to take a family, you're going to knock a hole in 250 quid. But then again, I suppose you could be there. It's one of those events like the Harry Potter one where you book a time of between 2 to 3 hours. And just like you, JT, I think, wow, if this has been a few years ago, absolutely, this has been something that I would have gone to. But now I am sort of amazed that it exists when the brand is kind of in trouble.
I think the people who put this together need their heads looking at, because they're not going to get.
It looks like a game show. Or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the one on the top right looks like the weakest link.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah.
Or the crystal maze.
Yeah.
Or something. It looks. They all look like game. Well, one looks like TFI Friday down the bottom.
Oh,
doesn't it? It really does. It's awful. Look, whoever designed this was brain dead. Let's face it, they're brain dead. But there you go. This is what Doctor Who's come to these days, isn't it?
The way I look at it, it's their money to try these things, to invest whatever they feel that the brand is worth, and to maybe bring people back, if not back to TV Doctor Who, then back to Doctor Who generally. I mean, it's with Blu-rays and other things still selling. The fact that this isn't, I mean, Ian, you asked, is this pushing the current incarnation of the Doctor, the Jodie Whittaker Doctor? And not particularly. We've got more information here. I mean, they are very much billing up the fact that they've got pre-recorded cameos from Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, as well as Jodie Whittaker and Joe Martin, who they describe as the current Doctors. That's interesting, isn't it? And but it says that voice actors are going to be playing the roles of the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th Doctors, but they are going to have video and audio involvement from other Doctor Who figures like Gemma Redgrave playing Kate Lethbridge-Stewart. So they're bringing.
So they've got numbers for the Doctors now.
The numbers don't mean anything.
It costs £200 for me to take my family, and you can't even get all the Doctors. Now I know, obviously, you can't get John Pertwee and Patrick Troughton, but. Yeah.
Well, we are getting the first Doctor, aren't we? If we are allowed to call him the first Doctor, let's face it. You can see a picture of him there. Yeah, you can see a picture of him there.
David Bradley's a stand-in.
Yes, exactly. But you know what, right? It's all going to be focused on Joe Martin and, well, you say it's not going to be focused
I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that. In fact, bear in mind.
But why is Joe Martin being included though? She's not a proper Doctor.
Because if they don't, Ian, they'll get so much flack for it. But look at the artwork. This is the key artwork that's on all the posters. There's not an actual Doctor in sight there, and even the TARDIS looks kind of more like the David Tennant TARDIS than the current one. So you could say that they are hedging their bets there. The idea with this is the only figure that you ever see on this artwork is a figure. It could be anybody. It could be either a male or a female from behind in the artwork, wearing a scarf and a floppy hat, stood in front of the TARDIS. So I think that's anyone. That's supposed to be us. But I think that's supposed to be the person who buys the ticket. The idea is that you go and you can be the Doctor.
Yeah, but we had this with the Doctor Who experience. That was the point of it. You immersed yourself in it, and you were the Doctor. Yeah. Or you were the companion, and they got rid of it. A perfectly good, building. Now I know there were issues with the council and everything, but it just seems so. They got rid of it, and then they just moved it to London.
But do you remember, Sarah, when they were trying to deal with us all complaining or moaning that the experience in Cardiff was closing down? Do you remember, Sarah, that they said we want to try new things?
Yeah.
Well, this is obviously one of the new things that they wanted to try. It's a shame that the series, though, is a massive flop, because if they'd done this a few years ago, it might have actually paid off for them. But I don't know. I'm in that position where I just think it's going to flop. This is going to flop because the series flops.
I agree with you, JT. And if the series was a success, Jodie's face would be on that poster, wouldn't it? It'd be on that poster. And the current
I feel that it definitely would be. Yeah, I think that's
absolutely.
I appreciate what they're trying to do, because obviously no, but obviously when you're growing up watching the show, though, Barnaby, you sort of imagine putting yourself in that lead role, don't you, and getting to the point where you could potentially pull on the big coat and the floppy hat, and I think that's the way that a lot of us enjoyed creative play as children. So it's giving that to children and maybe to some of us adults. How do you feel about it, Barnaby?
Yeah, I mean, but I might go. I might go just to see what it's all about, really.
Oh,
just
stop it!
I mean, just go there. I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a chance, and I'll just go like, you know what? I won't make my mind up until I've gone through it. And if I come, yeah, I'm curious. I'll come out of it and I'll come back and report.
That's what they are, Garen. That's what they're hoping on. That enough fans will be curious enough to go and support it. But as Lord Thoth says there, 50 quid. I mean, is that for the children as well, Dan?
Yeah,
it appears to be. I'm not seeing any adjustments for prices, but I can't believe there's not some sort of concession somewhere along, because I know the Harry Potter event that I keep mentioning Harry Potter, but it's the only thing I can think of. This has to be a deliberate attempt to capture that market, because that event, that experience, that attraction is so popular.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and yet the ironic thing is, of course, that the Harry Potter one was based on the Doctor Who one. The template was exactly the same, so there's a certain irony there.
JFO's watching in the chat and says, compare this to something like the Doctor Who proms. The proms now would make more money than that. I think we got the same. I think proms, they were 1 or 2 night events, weren't they? Whereas this is a permanent, well, I say nothing's permanent installation. So it's a slightly different prospect for somebody investing money in it. I don't know. I think it's a different market. I think it's been so long since the prom. You went. Did anybody ever go to the proms? Anybody go to those proms events?
Yeah.
What was it like, JT?
Busy. And electric. The atmosphere was amazing, and of course you had a great score that was going on there. Yeah, I mean you couldn't do it now.
Yeah, I mean the composer for the latest Doctor Who, his music's terrible. Imagine sitting through that for like 2 hours.
Who is it that does it now?
Some guy who I don't know, but it sounds just like noise. It's just noise. There's no theme or anything. Murray Gold has, his name is Sagan Akinola.
Yeah, he was quite respected before Doctor Who, and I gather he still does. He still works as a composer on other things, and we know why he got the job, right? Here's a box. What color are you? Okay, you got the job. There you go. I think I've said this before. I loved his music that first couple of weeks, but after 3 or 4 episodes,
what were you listening to? Dan? You like that music? But seriously,
you can't imagine, as you said. As you said, you can't imagine going to watch a prom like that. It's the kind of it's more Whale music. It's the kind of music you listen to in the bath at best, really, isn't it? Or if you're about to give birth.
What kind of monsters and creatures are going to come out though at this prom? You know, you can't just have like racists just walking about going. Oh.
There'll be non-binary, all different colours, all different whatever, sort of like hi, and then whatever,
and then it'll be half full. And then everybody be going, why did we put this on in the first place? Do you know what I mean? Because most Doctor Who fans won't turn up anyway.
They'll charge £120 per ticket.
Yeah.
I would imagine there are a few people, obviously, in the chat who are surprised at the cost of admission. I am too.
Oh, is that?
I think, I would potentially go by myself, but who would want to go to something like that by yourself? Unless you're really, really embarrassed to be there. You would ideally want to go with company, wouldn't you? Say if you've got a family, you want to go with your family or with your partner or with the mates.
Let's do a little plug, right? If anybody's listening, if you want us to go and review, please send tickets
to PO Box.
Immersive entertainment. Yeah, get in touch. Immersive everywhere. Get in touch with us. And I think we could have been harsher on this.
Hashtag change our minds.
Yeah, but listen,
that's it. I want my mind to be changed.
Who's done this listening? Yes, they should send us tickets, right? And if they know that what they've done is great and it's great entertainment, and it is, we will report back saying it's great entertainment. Yeah. So send us those tickets.
We don't need a hotel because we can stay at Ian's and
that's right.
Yeah, there's a Star Wars attraction like this called Galaxy's Edge, which I know had a troubled.
Oh yeah.
I gather it's doing quite well. It's still open. Let's put it that way. It's still open.
Is it?
It's not doing as well as it should be, though. That's
not with a brand like Star Wars. No, I agree. Yeah. Not with a brand like Star Wars. The other thing that I wanted to mention about this is that yes, we've only got a few of the Doctors, and Impressionists taking on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th Doctors. But one interesting bit of casting is Michael Troughton will provide a voiceover for the 2nd Doctor.
All right.
Does he sound like him?
I don't know. I've never heard him do it. What do you?
He
what do you think, Simon?
Like,
He does look a lot. He does look like. Yeah. What are your instincts about that, Simon? Is that like a nice kiss to the past?
Well,
Is it a nice traditional bowl?
Yeah, I guess so. I came in late on this discussion. Sorry, I dipped out a little while because I suddenly realised I was in the wrong Zoom meeting. I was supposed to be in the underwater basket with. Sorry.
Give them that love.
But coming in very late, and I'm guessing we're talking about time fracture. So I missed the price of the tickets. How much are the tickets?
50.
50 quid.
50 smackers, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go for the freebies if they're coming. Thank you. But you know what? I literally couldn't be less excited by Time Fracture. Is this kind of an offshoot of Time Lord Victorious?
No.
Does anybody give a flying big?
No.
Come on,
Time Lord Victorious is so 2020. That's so far in the rearview mirror. Everybody's forgotten about that. Where is it?
Does it say how long it is, Dan? Does it say how long the experience
is? Too long.
How long is it?
You can book your tickets in blocks of either 2 or 3 hours. So when you go onto the website, when you try and book it, which I've put the link in the description of the video, in the show notes of the podcast. So I've put the link in there. When you go there, you can choose your time, and the blocks are of 2 or 3 hours. Which, to be fair, that was the same with the Doctor Who experience too, wasn't it?
Well, do they have costumes in this place as well, Dan? Do we know, or is it just some sort of interactive gig?
It seems not. It seems mostly this kind of thing, and apparently dotted around the various sets that they've put together. There are lots of bits of continuity. And
what about Daleks
Easter
and
eggs.
Cybermen and stuff? Don't they have models of Daleks and Cybermen, or some of the models of the guns, or or the suits, or the costumes? In glass cases and stuff.
Daleks were in the trailer or something. I think the Daleks were in the trailer.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, you'd have to really.
Well, you'd have to.
I kind of wondering whether you sort of hit the nail on the head there. Yet again, it's the same as with Time Lord Victorious. What is it? What actually is it? Okay, it's called Time Fracture. What is it? It's an experience, isn't it? It's an experience. What does that actually mean?
Well, again, it feels like it's just copying the Doctor Who experience. It just feels
That's
like
what it's doing.
I don't know what it's doing, Sarah.
Because fracture is a big crack, and that was the point of the
crack. That explains it very well.
What was that big crack?
We're back to the human animal waste, aren't we? Going well, isn't it, everybody? Back to the
great to be back.
The experience that was the point, wasn't it? That the crack opened.
Oh dear!
Stop now, Sarah.
Stop. The crack opened, everybody.
Listen, she's digging her own hole.
I'm sorry.
And then the Doctor came out on that screen, Dan. You know
Let's play devil's advocate. Let's play devil's advocate for 5 minutes. It's over 10 years since the Doctor Who experience opened. So okay, we all regret the fact that attraction closed. Would we rather they never try one again? Are we just being paying a bunch of pains in the arse here?
Don't try anything until you tidy up house. Until you get rid of the cosplay shop there. Get rid of all that stuff.
Nice idea, wrong time.
So Ian, so what you're suggesting is that this should be kind of the least of their worries. That it's not that you don't appreciate the creativity and the investment. It's the fact that they should concentrate on tidying their room.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Fix their bed first. That's what I say.
Well, I agree. They either need to sort of get the parent show in order first, or scrap the parent show and go back to a classic kind of movement, and that includes, the Tennant Doctors and the Eccleston, so on and so forth. What the public think of as proper Doctors. So you just scrap the main show and you just go back to that, and then you might be able to sell it on kind of the nostalgia value. But you're not going to sell it, certainly not to the kids, I don't think, on the current iteration of the show. Simple as that.
I have to say, the level of smut in the chat as we're watching it is admirable. You should all be ashamed of yourself. There'll be more bottoms later on, everybody. One final bit of information we have here is that it says that, yes, so Immersive Everywhere say this is the first time, everybody, that fans can experience a multi-doctor story. So they're using the word story in an immersive environment. Doctor Who Time Fracture puts the fans at the heart of the story, plunged into a journey across space and time, featuring amazingly realistic worlds. Audiences will discover that it's time to step up to be the hero and save the universe.
And what about Gallifrey? Is Gallifrey involved in it?
I don't know. It's gone, Ian. It's gone.
It's back.
Do you know like what gets me about that is that they have all that wonderful footage from 26-year run of the longest science fiction show in the world, and they recast the first 3 Doctors. They did not need to. They could go back and take excerpts, surely, from Hartnell, from Troughton, from Pertwee, and incorporate the actual real actors as a nod to them. If anything else, I find that slightly disrespectful, actually.
Also, they can do visual effects on their face and make their mouths move to.
But even if you worked in, like some people have done in the past, if you work the script around some of the text that's already on the broadcast episode, you can still tell a story. You know.
But are we basically saying then that they've got voiceover artists to do which Doctors that I know the first, the second, and the third, but then the later Doctors as well. So does that tell us something in that case? Sorry, go on, Dan.
Apparently, they're going to all be present vocally or represented vocally, either by the original actors or by impressionists or people who are known for playing the part on Big Finish, like David Bradley and Tim Treloar. We've got a picture here. Here's David Bradley recording his on-screen insert. There was only 2 actors employed to record something new on screen, David Bradley and John Barrowman.
Yeah. John Barrowman's looking down for some reason. He's looking down.
Yeah, that was before he saw Twitter. So heaven knows.
He's looking old. Looks terrible.
He'll be looking older now.
Yeah.
And Bradley's looking at him. I don't know why. He's looking down.
So we'll have to get somebody to go and have a look at it. But as far as I'm concerned, what they're really saying here is that all 6,524 incarnations of the Doctor are in this thing.
Even the little black girl.
The little black girl. She's there. She kicks it all off. She cuts
that's part of the immersive experience. You get to fall off a cliff.
Oh, like that, you mean?
Ouch.
Who knows? I think it is hard for us to say how this is all going to hang together until any of us have been. But it is. I was surprised that they've gone for this so wholeheartedly, and it does harken. Yeah, they are trying to. Well, they're trying to drag families back to the brand because obviously the Blu-rays they've got us. Through pretty shiny discs and various other collectibles, higher end collectibles, which we do
from the original show, only from the original run. I mean, they do have a new series to plug as well, so this is hopefully going to, this is what they must be hoping, and that this is going to build up anticipation for the next pile of woke garbage that's on its way.
That's coming our way. Yeah. Obviously, see what people think in the chat. I don't think anybody is. The retro event is going to fall off a cliff here, says
like the little girl.
Says Retro Dicky. And you've got another comment here saying that the stupidest thing about the thousands of past incarnations
True.
is why has the Doctor spent 50 years not meeting any of them? Yeah, that's probably true. Good point. And the classic 80s factory watching here says they choose the most expensive city in the UK to host it with no parking availability for anyone. Now, that's an interesting point because, it's notoriously difficult for anybody to park in London. So where it will actually be. How
many car park spaces do you have, Ian?
Because
outside my building, 3.
The secret cinema events, they often took place in locations that weren't actually disclosed to those attending till a few hours before because they're only ever 1 or 2 nights. But obviously, and that was also an immersive experience. But this is a permanent attraction. So where it's actually going to be, what the travel accommodation is going to be like for people, I don't. They're probably going to just say, "Okay, do your own research and sort that out." We've got Crimplin Doubloon here with a comment. Got a slight delay on this. Are the people who pay £50, get to be more time. You get to be a doctor. Well, that's kind of what they're saying, isn't it? They're saying that, you know, you can be the doctor in this story. So you know, I think that. Yeah, and I think before
doctors, aren't we?
I think that rings hollow now because of what's been done on screen, which is sort of to suggest that anyway. But yeah, I think we're